It's not every day that we have a former world record holder with us. He was world record holder in 5,000 metres, and he's still the UK record holder to this day for the 3,000 metres. He kindly opened our new Renewable Technology Centre earlier this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, David Moorcroft, OBE.
Thank you, Dean, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Another David. David Bellamy last year, and almost every speaker today has been David. And if there's any consolation, Dave, many people call me Dave. My mum calls me David. My wife calls me useless. So, can I begin? And I wasn't going to tell this story, but Trevor mentioned Africa and AIDS and the wind-up radio, and I've got a little kind of Africa AIDS story, if that's okay, that one or two of you here have heard. Dean kindly mentioned the best bits about being a runner, breaking a world record, but it doesn't always go to plan. And a few years ago, I ran the Great North Run in Newcastle, half marathon, raising money for a charity. I was injured. I probably shouldn't have run, but because we got quite a lot of money on it as a charity, I felt the need to complete. It was one of the worst experiences I've ever had as a runner. About a mile or so from the Great North Run, with all these kind of really polite, energetic, enthusiastic Geordies. And I was hating every minute of it. I was going further and further back. But the worst moment of my athletics career was about a mile or so from the end of the Great North Run. I got overtaken by a banana. I don't know whether, David, in your athletics career you ever got overtaken by a banana, but it's not great for the ego. The Africa context is about a year later, I was invited to Ethiopia by one of my heroes, a guy called Haile Selassie, who's broken millions of distance records, to be a guest at the Great Ethiopian Run in Addis Ababa. And it was a fantastic experience. It was a great weekend until the night before the race, Haile said, "You will run tomorrow, won't you?" And there's no such thing as a bad Ethiopian runner. So I said, "I can't run, I'm old, I'm injured." And he said, "Honestly, run it, it's a great experience." And I did run, and it was, and I really enjoyed it. Part of the reason that they do the Great Ethiopian Run, Trevor, is to raise awareness for HIV and AIDS in Africa. And it's absolutely truthful. About a mile or so from the Great Ethiopian Run, jogging along quite merrily, mindful of the banana incident, I looked over my shoulder. There's a condom catching me up. Guy dressed up as a condom, getting closer and closer. Having been overtaken by a banana in Newcastle, being a proud Brit, there was no way I was going to let this condom beat me if I could help it. And honestly, the last 100 metres of the Great Ethiopian Run is me versus this condom, and I just beat it. So, one up for Warwickshire. It is a pleasure to be here today, and I guess part of the reason I'm here is to talk a little bit about winning. And Alumet are a winning company, and we're hopefully in a winning environment leading up to 2012, the Olympics and Paralympic Games. Not just about the number of people who stand on the top of the rostrum, but the number of people who are inspired through business, through sport, through culture, through education, through poetry, through a million different things to be the best they can and to stand on top of their own rostrum. The West Midlands, for instance, has been really successful in terms of winning Olympic and Paralympic contracts. Outside of London and the South East, there's no region, or Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the rest of the regions in England haven't been as successful as the West Midlands have. £511 million worth of contracts, 302 companies have won contracts, many of those in manufacturing. And probably the most interesting one, and again, outside of London, that's the most amount of companies that have won contracts at the Olympics and Paralympic Games, many of those in Warwickshire. But within the West Midlands, there's 59 parliamentary constituencies. 57 of those constituencies, at least one company has won a contract. The only two that haven't was one constituency in Birmingham and one in Staffordshire. So there are companies winning contracts, and there are companies being winners. Earlier on, Trevor talked about the fact that he's an inventor, but he began as a stuntman. We've got the president of the Chamber of Commerce, who cycled from the west coast of America to the east coast. We've got incredible people in our region, in our county, who achieve great things, and people don't know about it. People who reinvent themselves, and companies that reinvent themselves. And I think one of the most significant things about Alumet, and I met Dean a few months ago, and we've talked about this, is the way in which Alumet have had to be true to their core skills, but reinvent themselves when it mattered, particularly through the recession, to come out as winners. And I hope with 2012, one of the key elements of it will be people from our region having the confidence to believe in the skills they've got, either as individuals or as villages, towns, cities, or as organisations. And if need be, reinvent. It's partly about invention, it's partly about innovation. I know in my distance in athletics is that we were very complacent in the 80s when we had that great co-cram vet era. A little bit like, I guess, the complacency that maybe existed within manufacturing. And now the Africans have taken a stranglehold in distance running. But some of the British athletes like Mo Farah and Paula Radcliffe and Kelly Holmes have taken on the challenge and reinvented themselves. Kelly Holmes at the age of 34 won 2 Olympic gold medals in Athens, an incredible achievement. And Paula is going to attempt the same gold medal quest in the marathon at the age of, I think, 38, 37, 38 in London. She may do it, she may not do it, but what she will do is give it her absolute best. And what I really hope with 2012, through businesses, as I said, through sport, through culture, through education, is that we can raise the level of confidence and belief through individuals, young people, organisations, and achieve higher levels of performance. And a company like Alumet, who are embedded within the community in Southam and a significant part of this community, not just as employers, but in terms of the sort of activities we see they support today, are wonderful examples of that. The final thing I was going to say is that we've got a great project on display here today called Godiva Awakes. I'm from Coventry. I run for a club called Coventry Godiva Harriers, and I'm proud of what Coventry represents and what Lady Godiva represents. And there's a huge project, and it literally is a huge project in many ways, that will celebrate the best of the West Midlands, the best of Coventry and Warwickshire, and take the modernised Lady Godiva and take Lady Godiva to London as a symbol of the pride that we feel in our region. So thanks, Dean and Gary, for what you've achieved, for inviting me here today, and and many, many more years of increasing success. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, David.